One of the best performances we saw of anyone through sections 1 and 2, but hit problems after that section 2, and it was 4 failures from there. He finished on 22. Jaime Busto, 14 marks, only a single failure, and Benoit Bincaz, also one fiasco. That was in section 6. He finished on 12. So those will be your riders then for Q2 coming up. 5 of them. And as we said, there was a bit of a difference between Bincaz on 12, Busto on 14, compared to Gandola 22, Dufresne 26, Hemingway 27. So realistically, you're looking at a head-to-head here between Jaime Busto and Benoit Bincaz. But the scores are reset. Short course ahead of us, only 3 sections. And remember, just one rider can make it through to contest the podium places. Last chance qualifier, Q2. This part of the night takes on a timed format, newly introduced in 2025. Riders will score penalty marks as usual, but they will be added to the time on the stopwatch at a rate of 10 seconds per mark. A failure penalised more harshly than usual. It will be a round minute in the case of a failure, but in Madrid, the winners in both Q2 and Superpole were clean, so this should be a rapid and low-scoring part of the night. First up then, Harry Hemingway. Tackle sections in Q2. Only section 3 will be broadly familiar to the riders, and even then with a different exit. So it's a new course here of 3 sections, as fast as possible for Harry Hemingway. Confident start. Every mark dropped worth 10 seconds, remember. 18-year-old Harry Hemingway, right foot goes down. That will be his first drop penalty mark. Otherwise, through to the end of section 1, straight into section 2 as quickly as he can. Central tower. Harry Hemingway now to reach. 48.7 his split time given there, including the 2 marks from section 1. 1 mark for leaning there. Does well to make it up. Making his time here. Does get through to the end of section 2. A further time penalty mark added there. Into section 3. 40.8 the time it was split, including 30 seconds of time penalties, 20 in section 1, 10 in section 2. Section 3, so far so good. Different exit point to what we saw in Q1, as we mentioned previously. Hemingway within sight of the exit gate fails section 3. Failure will be 60 seconds of time penalties. And that's a shame because it had been a really good ride up till then. So 1 minute 30 of time penalties. It's 3 minutes 20.4 given as the total time, including those 90 seconds of time penalties for Harry Hemingway, first rider out in Q1. Well, if that's not good enough for Hemingway to make it through to the grand final, he will finish at the bottom of the pile tonight. Classification will be based on the Q1 results for those who don't make it to the final. So the 4 finalists will obviously be ranked according to their finishing position in the final. The other 4 will be ranked based on Q1 performances. Well, I have to say that Harry Hemingway has given a good account of himself, even if he does finish last tonight. Close to the end of section 1 in Q1. Well, he made it to the end, but he'd already dropped too many marks and failed. Close in section 6, but ran out of time. There were some promising rides, certainly, from Harry Hemingway, and the opening 2 sections of Q2, another good example. 3 minutes 20.4 to beat then for Hugo Dufresne of France. Next man up. Beat Hemingway by 1 mark in Q1. That will be a first drop mark there, I suspect. Or leaning. Wait and see what Moreno Piazza thinks, section observer. Oh! Dufresne's hand off the handlebars altogether there. He'll take one for leaning at very least. He's on 3, so any further drop marks will be a failure in section 1. He makes it to the exit gate. 3 drop marks, so 30 seconds added to his accounts. So he's worse off than Harry Hemingway after section 1. 1 minute 5.8 his split time. Hemingway was on 48.7 into section 2. Hemingway needed 1 mark to make it through this one. 10-second penalty. Taking his time again, this step. The big one. And Dufresne is down. It's a failure in section 2. That will add 60 seconds to his account. 2 minutes 43.7 at the split then. It's up to Dufresne to make it out of section 3 unscathed to take the provisional lead. Only one rider, remember, can move through. Dufresne with a lot of ground already to make up. 3 minutes 20.4 was Harry Hemingway's finishing time. And he's already getting there, isn't he? So it will be Harry Hemingway for the 10 seconds. And for me, that's it. Harry Hemingway will move above Hugo Dufresne in Q2. Or more importantly, Dufresne will drop behind Hemingway. That rules him out of contention for qualification. Dufresne too falls at the final step. There's back-to-back failures to finish the night for Hugo Dufresne. Eliminated after Q2. Wait for the final time for Hugo Dufresne, but certainly Harry Hemingway retaining the provisional lead of Q2. Section 1, Dufresne needed 1 mark more than Hemingway. Did well to stay on the bike, to be perfectly honest. Good job from Hemingway on the main step of section 2. Dufresne failing that one. But the failure for Hemingway in section 3 means it's unlikely that he will come up with a giant killing mission and bring a surprise here. As I said previously, in Madrid, the qualifier, I should say, cleaned all 3 sections. So Harry Hemingway with the time to beat, 3 minutes 20.4, as Lorenzo Gandola steps up for Q2, section 1 underway for him. Gandola started the evening so well with a single drop mark in each of sections 1 and 2. Takes a dab of his left foot there. Finished Q1 with 4 consecutive failures, but 6th place. And presuming that he, Dufresne and Hemingway are all eliminated, Gandola will hold on to that 6th place. Not a bad debut at all. Pressing on single drop mark thus far. Slips slightly further to the right than he would have liked, so puts his left foot down. 2nd drop mark. But for me, it's only the 2 in section 1. 1:06.7. It was 2 marks, and actually that's the worst of anyone after the first split. And Gandola with some work to do here. He has made it up the main step of section 2 though. Right foot goes down, 1 for leaning as well. So he's needed more than Harry Hemingway. Hemingway got through this with 1 mark. Gandola has already needed 2. Does make it through to the end of section 2, unlike Hugo Dufresne. So looking good at this stage. Single drop mark for leaning there. 2 minutes 12.9, so he's got a lot of time to make up compared to Hemingway, but of course Hemingway failed section 3, so if Gandola gets through this one, he should move into the provisional lead. Easier said than done, and a second drop mark for Gandola with this final step that's already claimed Hemingway and Dufresne as its victims, and now he's got no room for error. That was the third mark. Any further drop marks on this last step will be a failure and a 60-second time penalty, and that's a failure for Lorenzo Gandola. Couldn't make it up the step anyway, so the time on the clock is inferior to Hemingway, and the time penalties leave him second, ahead of Dufresne but behind Hemingway, who retains the lead. Gandola eliminated, Dufresne eliminated. Harry Hemingway provisionally holds that spot in the grand final, but with Jaime Busto and Benoit Bincaz still to come, and I've said it already, but with the greatest of respect, we're talking about two debutants, and Hugo Dufresne, who'd only made 3 previous appearances in extra competition. We're likely looking at a battle between Busto and Bincaz with only 1 spot up for grabs in the final. And Jaime Busto will come into Q2 as the odds-on favourite. But he's got to go first, and Bincaz will know exactly what he needs to do by the time he takes the arena floor. Here is Jaime Busto, World Championship leader, let's not forget, after victory at Extra Madrid, hoping to save his season, certainly his night, here in Q2. Albert Cabestan has watched on closely as Hemingway, Dufresne and Gandola have put in their first efforts. Now it's time for the two heavyweights to slug it out. Busto with incredible speed in section 1. Knows that he's got to set a stretch target for Benoit Bincaz to try and beat him. 19.5 seconds. It's 48.7 for Harry Hemingway at the same stage. 1 drop mark. Errant foot for Jaime Busto, but he's on his way. Section 2. Single drop mark through there. Let's see what the time looks like when it comes in. 57.3. Unless there's a drawn-out failure here, Jaime Busto will take the provisional lead. He's up. Needs a mark for leaning. That's an excellent run for Jaime Busto in Q2. He doesn't look delighted about it, but it's going to be very, very difficult for Benoit Bincaz to beat that. 1 minute 29.3. 20 seconds of time penalties. 129.3 for Benoit Bincaz to beat, to give himself a place in today's grand final. There was the mark for leaning, I should have said, for Jaime Busto on the main step of section 2. 1 more mark needed on the main step of section 3. Excellent run. Is it enough? Certainly enough to take the provisional lead by a clear margin over the bottom 3. Hemingway probably deserves more than 8th position tonight, particularly after his display in Q2. But it's all about the 1 spot up for grabs in the grand final. Jaime Busto has it in 1 hand for the moment. 1 minute 29.3. Benoit Bincaz has got to be faster than that in order to progress. Did make the final last time out in Madrid, so did Jaime Busto. A bit of a shake-up in the standings because tonight Gabriel Marseille has made it to the final. He failed to do so a few weeks ago. Q2 for Benoit Bincaz. Beat Jaime Busto by 2 marks in Q1. Those scores are reset now. 2 marks on observation for Busto and a time of 1 minute 9. Bincaz is away. Busto is known to be fast. Bincaz likewise. Trial International has given him that velocity. This time format far from new to Bincaz. Good start. I would say probably ahead of Busto at that stage. We'll see what the split looks like. By the time he enters section 2, a little bit behind Busto. tight this. Binkaz. Oh, he's in trouble. That'll be 3 marks, I think, there. It's given us 2. I think left foot and right foot both went down there for Binkaz. All away with it. 2 drop marks. Needs a clean now here, doesn't he, in section 3. The crowd urging him on. Former winner here in Chambéry. Binkaz is down at the final hurdle. He knew he had to throw the bike at the section. He gave it his best effort, but it will be Jaime Busto who marches on. Benoit Binkaz exits in dramatic fashion on the final step of Q2. It will be 5th place for Binkaz in front of his home crowd, the local hero. Grew up just 10 kilometres down the road from La Fare here in Chambéry. And he gets a rousing reception. But I'm afraid that is goodbye from Benoit Binkaz tonight. Looked like 2 minutes 39 was showing there for Benoit Binkaz. Either way, certainly slower than the 1 minute 29.3 set by Jaime Busto, who wins Q2 and moves through to the final, doing exactly what he needed to do to salvage his night and his season. Binkaz gave it a really good go. The extra drop mark there forced him to rush in section 3, and he tried to jump all the way across to make up time, but landed on the stump, landed awkwardly and down for a 5-mark score. 60 seconds added through there. And here are your confirmed results. 1 minute 29.3, 2 minutes 39.7 as I said. 1 minute 19 on the clock. It's Jaime Busto who takes it. More sizable margin tonight than we saw last time out, when the top 2 both made it through all 3 sections of Q2 without a failure. Obviously, big difference on observation between Busto and Binkaz in the end. Not much of a difference on time, of course. But failure in section number 3. The Extra World Championships first visit to Chambéry. It's time to settle the podium places in the grand final, starting with Superpole. 4 riders, 3 times to determine the starting order for section 1 of the grand final. Back-to-back rides for Jaime Busto. That's the disadvantage of having had to make it through via the LCQ. The other 3 can watch on. Gabriel Marseille, who was 3rd in Q1 on 11. Tony Beau, who was 2nd in Q1 on 10. Adam Raga, who won Q1, also on 10. Jaime Busto finished on 14, but after finishing 5th in Q1, he's managed to make the top 4 by virtue of that performance against Benoit Binkaz in Q2. Grand final about to get underway. Superpole at Extra Chambéry, underway with Jaime Busto, first rider up. World Championship leader, only 4th in the seeding order. So this Superpole session is a real opportunity for him. Move up the order. Actually, this is where the format plays into Jaime Busto's hands. Last chance after the last chance, as it were. Clean in section 1, 16 seconds his time through that one as well. Busto nicely warmed up by Q2 at very least. Benoit Binkaz struggles riding back-to-back Q2 and Superpole, and there was more of a gap, I felt, in Extra Madrid, even less pause for breath for Jaime Busto here. He's riding superbly into section 3 already. 47.3 has given us the time after the second split. super ride in section 3 as well. That's going to be a very competitive time. 3 sections clean, 56.6 his finishing time. Up to Marseille, Beau and Raga to try and match that. Wow, excellent ride. Well, that was so fast, it was impossible to keep up. Busto flying through in less than a minute for the 3 sections. Section 1 familiar to him largely, very similar to section 1 from Q2, albeit with a different entry point. New sections 2 and 3, layout for section 3 compared to what we saw earlier in the night, and Busto's aced it despite being the first rider out. This is his opportunity to improve his seeding spot for section 1 of the grand final. Over to Gabriel Marseille, his direct rival. The two were 2nd and 3rd in the world last year. Section 1. That's going to be very important for these riders to avoid dropping marks, knowing that Jaime Busto was clean and fast. 16 seconds it took Busto to get to the end of section 1. Marseille's already needed more than that. It's only a few seconds behind. Into section 2 now. Into 5.4, giving us the split time. Marseille pressing on. Excellent ride again in section 2, but he's taking too long about it to challenge Busto. 56.6 was Busto's finishing time, and Marseille's already needed more time than that. Busto retains the lead in Superpole here in Chambéry. There you will know Adam Raga, Tony Beau still to come. There is an opportunity for him to avoid that basement position in the seeding order. 1 minute 11.7 is the finishing time. Both riders have been clean in each of the sections so far then. Up to Tony Beau now to do the same. With a good ride. This time from Gabriel Marseille, who must have felt after his ride in Q1 that it had been a competitive performance, then saw Adam Raga and Tony Beau beat him, and it looked like he might miss out on automatic qualification to the final. And when that happened last time out, he went head-to-head with Benoit Bincaz and lost in Madrid, so he'll be pleased to have made the final tonight. Does slip behind Jaime Busto though in the seeding order after Superpole. Jaime Busto then leads with a 56.6 the time. P1. Tony Beau. Greatest X-Trial rider of all time. Loves this discipline, loves the crowd. In the past has thrived on the pressure. Didn't thrive under pressure in Madrid. 12 seconds to get to the end of section 1. Similar performance to Jaime Busto. 16.9 given us the time, so fractionally slower at the first split. Clean in section 1. This is going to be tight between Busto and Beau. They are both fast riders. Beau tends to have the advantage on the bigger steps, but there's none of those in Superpole. This is about velocity now for Tony Beau. He's got to try and avoid making any unforced errors. 56.6 was the finishing time for Busto. And Tony Beau goes P1. Busto relegated to 2nd, Marseille down to 3rd. 52.1. 4.5 seconds faster than Jaime Busto. Tony Beau takes back the lead of X-Trial Chambéry. Adam Raga still to come. This is going to be tough for Raga. We see the exploits of Tony Beau in the Superpole. Challenge for Raga here, just to beat Gabriel Marseille with a 1 minute 11.7. Because Beau and Busto have incredible pace. Pace has been one of the things that Raga has struggled with in recent years, and speed has become more and more important in the X-Trial World Championship. It's worked against him in the veteran stage of his career. Sections in the grand final going in 2 directions, all within 60 seconds. Consecutive sections within a time limit to manage. Let's see what Raga can do in Superpole here. Section 1, good rise. Good start. Certainly faster than Marseille through there. Adam Raga topped the score chart in Q1, taking his time early in Section 2 here, and he's taken a mark for leaning. First rider to drop a mark in Superpole, and that's going to be critical. 1 minute 11.7 was Marseille's finishing time. Raga was 2.7 seconds faster than Marseille in Section 1, but he squandered 10 seconds just on penalties in Section 2. And I think that's going to leave Raga in 4th place, regardless of what happens here in Section 3. 1 minute 10 already, 1 minute 11.7 was Marseille's finishing time. And Adam Raga then fails Section 3 anyway. So that settles it. 2:23.5 is given us the time, including the 10 seconds in Section 2 and the 60 seconds for the failure in Section 3. Good work from Raga to make the grand final. He will, of course, have an opportunity to change that seeding order as we go on through the final. Started strongly in Section 1. That single dab in Section 2. He positioned himself awkwardly and it unravelled for him from there. Still very much in podium contention though. So, your results in Superpole. Tony Bow, fastest by 4.5 seconds over Jaime Busto. Gabriel Marseille also clean, 1 minute 11.7 for him. And Adam Raga goes from 1st to 4th in the seeding order. He'll be first out through the sections in the grand final coming right up.